Are we? Are we?
Yes, we are.
I'm like, okay. You're number one.
Welcome to Slow and Steady, the podcast where you get to follow along as we build products in public. Each episode gives you an honest peek into our lives as we share our struggles, our wins, and everything in between. I'm Benedict, and I'm feeling determined.
And I'm Benedicta. Today is October 29th. This is episode number 211, and I'm feeling energized.
Woohoo! I
Woo!
think we're on similar emotional levels today, right?
Did you see my
Energized, determined.
screen photo and get some of my energy?
I did not. Basically, not checking Twitter anymore.
I put it everywhere. It's on Blue Sky. It's on LinkedIn. It's on Twitter.
I did not
Well,
see it though.
I went for a walk up a hill in Oslo, and on top of this hill, it's a sculpture park. And I hadn't been there for a while, and there was like some beautiful sculptures. And then at the end of the trip, there's just like a frame. It's a steel frame to the view. And my friend said that the artist
I
said
think I saw that. Yeah.
it's for like screaming in, like the Scream, which is one of the famous paintings from our artist Munch. And so I screamed, but it was like more of a fun scream. And she sent me the photo, and I was like, I have to share this. And I think it was right after doing the yearly planning. So I have this group where I do planning, and we set goals for the years, and then we check in every quarter. So this was a little bit of a late quarter check in, and she was like, "It's 2 weeks." No, 2 months. Oh my God, 2 months left of the year. And I was like, okay, let's do this. Let's end this on a good note.
Nice. You did not ride a tram there, did you?
To the top of the tram? To the top of this
Yeah,
mountain?
just like I was like
No.
checking news earlier today, and apparently there was a tram derailment into an Apple store in Oslo today.
Oh, I haven't checked those news.
I think no one got like 4 injured, but not severely, so everything good, I guess.
How does a tram derail?
I don't know.
Oh, I know where this is. There is a I don't know what those are called, where you can like go
Like a
in
junction?
2 directions. Yeah, junction. There is a junction right outside the downtown Apple store. It's not a official Apple store. We don't have any of those, but it's called the Apple House.
Yeah, something like that.
Yes.
Fun fact that I just like randomly picked up. I was like, oh, Oslo.
That's fun. That's fun. No, you can. I think you can take a tram partway where we went, but we actually walked from the city center, or like the east side of the center, and all the way up to this little sculpture park, which is kind of cool. Actually, I keep forgetting how cool my city is. So I have a friend who is helping me get out into nature in Oslo. She's like my support, my outdoor support person.
Nice.
Yeah. So what's been up otherwise?
Yeah, otherwise, I want to say nothing much happened, which is sort of true, but also we're making progress on stuff. Just not like nothing like super fancy or flashy and stuff like that. We made some good progress on the new company triggers that I think I've mentioned a couple times now. We got a prototype working. We started building UI for that stuff. And in that process, figured out that there's potentially a way to take this a step further to make it a little bit nicer. So we're currently exploring, or I'm exploring, how to do this on the back end, which is pushing some of the boundaries we have in the system at the moment. But if we can figure this out, it will be nice. And like it's one of those things where we're always like building the building blocks that make the system, right? And this is one part of the app that is pretty fundamental. And if we can make those building blocks a little bit better, that could have like a long tail effect on everything else. So that's what I'm currently exploring this week, and I'm determined to figure something nice out. So yeah, that's where that feeling comes from. Other than that, we finally launched our form protection feature. I'm sure I mentioned this a couple of weeks ago that we basically added capture support to all our sign-up forms that you can embed on your website. We launched that this week, and we also were able, because of the building blocks around triggers that we already have, we were able to relatively quickly come up with a new trigger type for when a user joins a company or leaves a company to start campaigns based on that. So we built that relatively quickly in just a couple of days. And I want to say without adding any backend code, which is kind of crazy if you think about it. But we're able to
isn't
do
it
this,
nice
and
when your foundational work is paying off?
yes, exactly. That's exactly that type of work. Yeah, the benefits we can now reap is because the foundation are flexible enough that it's basically configuration at this point. So we built that and planning to launch that, I believe, next week or the week after. So that will be exciting, and hopefully we can launch the proper company triggers soon after that. Once we've expanded the foundations a little bit. But yeah, I feel like that's about
I
it.
mean, 2 weeks go quickly. I was like, it can't
Yeah.
be today. I must have missed that up. And then I looked at the other date and I was like, oh, it's been 2 weeks. It actually has been 2 weeks. I've also kind of just been working slowly and steadily on both Otsera and we these 2 weeks. And I've been pushing the boundaries. I don't know if I've been pushing the boundaries, but I've been pushing the boundaries of our make plan. So much so that I had to upgrade to a new make plan. So make is a visual automation tool that was in place at Otsera, not at Otsera, at We, when I started working there. And one of the issues we've been having is that the system never received any kind of data back. Like we had very little webhooks receiving data, especially back from Stripe.
Mhm.
So I've been creating webhooks for Stripe that kind of, catches that payment failed or payment success, usually just failed. Like we need a system to keep up with the failing payments because we are a physical company. So it's as a difference to you SaaS folks, we can't just lock people out. It's not like we can just lock them out. We have to, go impound their bike if we're gonna stop them.
Hey,
So
they are electric bikes, though, right? Like, can you not just like put like a tiny thingy in there, just like have the motor just lock?
I mean, we could when we start making our own bikes, but these are, I think there are some folks working on some like IoT thing where you can connect to the engine, but then often then you have to have like an app. I know. So
Yeah,
the bikes
I
as they are just like regular
was
bikes.
mostly joking.
Yeah, but I mean, you're joking, but it might happen at some point. But anyway, so we really need to kind of have a way to see what people owe and be able to reach out to them, as soon as possible so that we collect the money. So I've been working on that, but then, it's the internet, and we know that even though Stripe is super reliable and Make seems to be super reliable, I also wanted to have like nightly automations that also just fetched current status in case one or two webhooks go missing. Like I want to make sure that we're up to date. So I'm running like a nightly, a little bit of an overkill, but I just wanted to like, please, do a little bit of over engineering now to make sure that we are capturing everything and seeing, even though I read the documentation for Stripe, I've used Stripe quite a lot, but I'm not like fully certain like how all of the status changes are. So I'm also like, sending some of this anonymous data to Slack as well to just see like what happens when a payment succeeds. For instance, you get like payment succeeded, payment paid, and payment attempted, I think like almost at the same time. So all of those come kind of rushing in. So you have to make sure those go in the right order. And then we have started voiding. There's some like wrong invoices from like way back that just needs to be voided. So a new status came in. So that's been interesting, but it's like up and running. And every morning I send the operations guy a message that because it's failed a couple of times because there's like different edge cases. So I'm keep sending him. I'm like, hey, all the all the automations ran last night, so you can trust the data. And this morning I was like, I'm gonna keep telling you this until you feel like you can trust the data, because there has been a little bit of data trust issues in our system. So I'm gonna, that's like my morning routine now, is just making sure all of the make automations have been running, and telling him that they ran and they seem to have ran okay. Yeah, but like I feel like just working with the data like that, it's giving me better, like, I don't know, some kind of like more like gut feeling knowledge around the data that will be helpful when we have the time and money to do some larger changes.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
One thing with those webhooks, we ended up doing is it's like we consume the webhooks, but we basically don't look at the payloads, more or less. The only thing I think we're catching is the subscription and customer IDs, and then we fire up background jobs that then load the data from the API fresh, and then just act on that later state.
Yeah.
Because I was always worried about, like, as you said, like when stuff comes in like in rapid succession, you're not necessarily sure it's in the right order, and then
Exactly.
you might be doing stuff in the wrong order.
Yeah, so I think I now only have a listen on the webhook side. I'm only listening for paid and failed.
Right.
And then as it is now, I only keep the failed invoices in our Airtable, and then I just delete all of the success
Makes
ones
sense.
because we don't really care about those. And then I do that sync every night just to make sure that we are up to date. And also, like, even though it hasn't happened now, but like syncing names and emails and stuff like that back and forth, so we don't automatically fix that now, but I have like a table in Airtable that shows filter, or like a view in Airtable, it's called, where I can see all of the records where the names and emails are different in our system and Stripe, and then I'll just manually go in and look at like what is the correct thing happening. Yeah, double check, gotta check support, see like what's happening and stuff like that. But I had a little bit of a like low point when I started realizing like how much data was missing, or like how like our system and Stripe has kind of just diverged. But then I had a meeting with the team, and they're like, well, it's a lot better than it was now that you've started doing this work. Like, we're moving in the right direction. I was like, yes, but like, I want to be
at least we know it's out of sync.
Yeah,
right?
At least we know. But I want to be miles further down the road in terms of like system, like data quality and system quality. But we'll get there. It's not, it's not terrible. It's just that, as an engineer, you kind of want things to be a little bit closer to perfect, at least.
Yep.
But it was good to like meet it. Yeah, it was good meeting the team, and like they were like positive, because I was a little bit like, no, like this is, I feel like I'm moving too slow, like trying to clean up these things. But they seem very happy, so that's good.
That's good.
And we're working on, because we realized that SMS is the thing for our customers. Like, they're super busy, usually parents. We send them emails, and we have pretty good reputation, I found, on SendGrid. You helped me a little bit with like all of these settings, but for at least from like the SendGrid stuff seemed to be like super perfect. And SendGrid is telling us we have really good reputation, but we're still seeing, on the waiting list, for instance, like there's a 40% open rate and stuff like that. And then our operations guys were like, if I text them, they answer right away. And the answer is usually, yes, I want the bike, but they didn't open the email, right? So, and it makes sense. Like, if you look at a demographic and where they're at in life, they're not going to be, they're probably, also a lot of them, for the price that we offer our service, like they probably have pretty like stressful jobs with a lot of email as well. So I was like, okay, we need SMS. And I started MVPing an SMS reminder in Make that I've been running, that just sends text messages to Slack now to see if they actually work. And then the idea was for them to actually be sent as SMSs. I'm getting 1970 as the date, so like something's off. It's like the if you get 1970 as the year in anything, something is off. But then I started looking a little bit around for like who does messaging on SMS, because Userlist, you don't do SMS. Outsera, we don't do SMS. So I saw that Bento, which is also like an emailing service, newsletter and transactional emails and stuff, they also do SMS like as a part. You can do a flow where you send both, or you can send every other and stuff like that. So I signed up for a demo and he like took the call. I signed up with my We email to like showcase that I'm actually going to be like hopefully showcasing that I'm going to be using this tool for something. But he like opened the call. He was like, yeah, it's like a little confused because he'd seen me around Twitter, with you guys and also without Setas. He was like, what's up? What's up? So you're just gonna check out the competition. But it was a solid tool. So we're gonna give it a try, so that we can do mixed messages with SMS and email,
Nice.
which
Makes
hopefully
sense.
will work. And also they have that, they have transactional emails as well. So if it works out, we can consolidate kind of the transactional and the marketing and the not the marketing, but like the communication with the customers, and make it easier for us to change messages, because now all of the SMS messages are in all these different make scenarios. So
Mhm.
I don't really know what messages go out at what point to what customers when it's
Yeah,
SMS.
makes sense.
So that's going to be interesting to see. But it's nice that we can like all be nice to each other, even though we're semi competitors, and realize when one solution might work better than the other.
For sure. Yeah. That's true. I mean, yeah, the market's probably big enough for all of us.
Yes. And like we don't have that many, like we're not a super big customer either. So I feel like I think he has some really large clients as well, but the marketing is also towards more like the creator, smaller business type. So I think it could be a good fit.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Let us know how it works. How it works.
Yeah. We can talk about features that we need to still, copy into the other
get inspired from.
Get inspired from. I can tell you
Jesse
one thing
was
which I found.
Yeah, go ahead.
I found one thing really cool is that instead of having one canvas for each like trigger endpoint, you can make as many flows you want on one canvas. And that was pretty cool, actually, because I have felt that pain point in both like ConvertKit automations and in Make and stuff like that, where you're like, well, these things are related, so I would love to just have them on the same like visual canvas and then maybe even connect them to each other. I don't know if you can do that in Bento though, but like if something happens in one scenario that goes into another scenario, or like it doesn't have to be just one entry point. I think ConvertKit, you can have multiple entry points, but it has to become one flow. So I thought that was pretty cool. I can also see it being super disorganized at some point if you never make another canvas, but I thought that was pretty cool. And you can put little GIFs on it and little like post-its so you can remember what you're trying to do, which is a major pain point with Make, actually, because I have multiples of the same app. Because in Airtable, there, we can choose the primary key. So I always have to do a search to find if there is a customer or a bike with that name or that ID. And then I do an upsert on that. But then all of those look the same. And it would have been really nice if I could like put little post-its out on the board to explain what I'm doing and why I'm doing it, because sometimes it seems counterintuitive. And it would be nice to like have a little post-it on there. But you were saying Jesse.
Yeah, Jesse, who's like the founder, owner, whatever of Bento. He was recently on a podcast with Aaron Francis, talking about like how they use Postgres at scale and all of that. And it was so funny to listen to it. Because fundamentally, Userlist and Bento are kind of like the same product. And we're also on Postgres. It's also on Rails. But it feels like we're on almost everything taking opposite directions on building the same thing.
Oh, interesting.
So interesting. It was fascinating to listen to it.
Aaron should have the both of you on. That would be super interesting.
I'm not sure. Like, I don't. Yeah, I don't know. I don't.
Or would it be like feel like a competition / like argument?
I guess in the end, what's the point if both ways obviously seem to work? I'm not sure we can argue about which one is the better way or whatever. So
Yeah, no, I was
I don't know.
thinking
I
with
just thought it was super
the
interesting.
mentality of both of you, that's not what it would be. It would actually be like, oh, interesting that you did it that way. Like, tell me more about, and then like digging in. I feel like you would end up digging more into the choices when you have somebody who's taken the other choice. Because even though Aaron is knowledgeable with a lot of these things, like he hasn't made email service provider decisions, right? So it could be interesting if you were interviewed together and you could dig even deeper into the choices that have been made and when it's been working for you and when it's not been working for you, because I guess he got some cons that you don't have and he has some cons like
Yeah,
negative, there's always
I
pros and
guess
cons
there's
with every
always
choice.
pros and cons for sure.
Yeah, but that's cool. We'll see if my SMSs arrive.
Yeah, for sure.
We have a very small pool of customers, so we will know if they don't get their SMSs. Well, if you do like a marketing thing for like 3,000 people, you're not going to know if all of the SMSs have reached its destination.
For sure. And also, probably it's not that. I mean, keep saying that, don't say that lightly, but in the end, it's not like life or death if like some of them don't get the marketing message.
No, but we have our most important is our reminders to come to their assigned service.
Yes,
because that costs us a lot of money when people don't show up, and now it also costs them money because we now have a no-show fee. And,
interesting.
Yeah,
that's a good idea.
And our founder came into a morning meeting with, I need a reminder the same morning because she had forgotten her service appointment, and we sent a reminder 5 days before, 3 days before, the day before, but not on the same morning, and you have to be there by 9. So she was like, and that's when I was like, okay, maybe we need a service where we can like easily add another one or subtract, and she's also kind of our copywriter UI person, so she could actually go in and like write these messages more easily, like she would like them. Yeah, but it was funny, but she didn't get a no-show fee though. But
why not? Preferential treatment, what's going on?
Yeah, Lillian, my daughter keeps asking me like, do we get the bike for free now? And I was like, Mommy don't want the bike for free. Mommy wants her salary or like her fee. The bike is a drop in the ocean, so I'd rather keep paying for my bike and get my full fee. And she's like, what? So we had to do some back of the napkin calculations on that.
Yeah.
So did you have to run?
Going on?
Do we want to wrap up this quickly or?
Yeah, I actually wouldn't mind wrapping this up a little bit early. It's going to be super short episode, but
those are the good ones. I just have to brag. Can I brag as my last thing?
Of course.
So we were doing the as I mentioned at the beginning of the program, I had this group where we check in, and I think after like in the beginning of the year, I had some lofty like goals, do a lot of stuff, blah 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 blah. And then after my mom moved into her care home and I realized how tired I was, and we had to check in after the summer, I changed my goal to, and I think I mentioned it on this podcast before. I changed my goals to like, a lovely everyday life. That was like my goal for this quarter. And by that, like having more margins in, the everyday. So it's not like too stressful. We were sick a week, and it was, and it was not fun being sick, but it didn't end up like disrupting everything. So when we were checking in now, I was like, wow, I actually really made it. I have been saying no to things that I really would love to do, but I was like, will this, give me a better everyday life? No, it will not. So I haven't done it, or I'll like put it, into the future. Like, maybe I'll give a talk for you next year, and stuff like that. So I'm really proud of that. And now the challenge is, though, to keep this going all the way through Christmas. Because Christmas, things, there's a lot of things happening. So now I've been like prepping, like, when do I need to do things? I don't have to do them the last day. So for instance, we have to show up with 200 Christmas cookies for the Christmas market at school. And I was like, this is insane. So I went on Twitter, of course, and asked if somebody had a good Christmas cookie recipe that was fairly easy but seemed impressive. And one person answered with these kind of like American sugar cookies with glaze on them. And then I scroll down and they can freeze. So I will be cooking, or we will be making, 100 this Saturday and 100 next Saturday. I'm going to freeze them. And then I'm going to just like peacefully arrive at the Christmas market. No stress, and just like show our beautiful sugar cookies that are going to be on sale.
And did they specify the size? Because 200 very small cookies might be a lot easier than 200 large cookies.
They didn't specify size. And it is a little bit of like, if you really can't do it, then you don't do it.
Right.
But it's like semi-obligatory, but
right.
But now that I like these kinds of things now that I have time for it. So I've been cooking a lot more. I've been asking people over. I had 2 university friends come for buttered chicken. I did the Twitter famous buttered chicken by Vic, who shared it on Saturday. I don't know if you saw this, but it was a viral buttered chicken recipe on Twitter that I made on Saturday for 2 of my friends from university, and that was a lot of fun. I haven't seen those guys in months, and one guy slept over because I was like, I have space now. Do you really want to go back to the other side of town in the middle of the night? So he stayed over. So we ended up sitting up talking to like 3:30, I think, but then the clock changed, so it was only 2:30, which saved me because I had 2 other friends and their families coming the next day for an early dinner. So
make good use of that extra hour, I guess.
So much use out of that extra hour, even though I haven't been attending any of my meetings this week except this one because you're in the same time zone.
Yep, it's kind of convenient. Well,
next week, cool. Americans, we'll be back.
Let us know how the cookies turn out.
Oh, you will get an update in 2 weeks. Hopefully, it hasn't been a major fail, because then I'll go buy cookies and just pretend that I made them. If it's a complete fail.
Yeah, you can also do that, I guess. Well,
nobody tell anyone.
Good luck anyways. Hope you don't need to buy them.
I really hope I don't need to buy them. And we'll see you around the interwebs.
See you. Bye.
Bye.